when growing an agency, it's very easy to get emotional when things aren't going right. But it's not good to be emotional with it. Instead, you should be logically looking at different parts of the agency and figuring out what it is that you need to fix and what it is that you need to do to fix it. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how to figure out what the problem is and how to go about fixing it. Okay, so I'm going to say there's 5 main things you need to think about. Acquisition, as in, are you actually getting leads in? Leads quality, obviously if the leads aren't of a high enough quality, you've got a problem. Conversions, even if you've got high quality leads, you have to actually convert them. Fulfillment, obviously you need to actually be able to do the fulfillment on the leads. And then also churn. Okay, so if you haven't got enough leads coming in, you have an acquisition problem. There are 3 main ways to acquire leads. You can do cold outreach, ads, or content. For cold outreach, you can do cold email, cold calling, or outbound DMs. For ads, it's pretty much always Facebook. And then for content, you've got Instagram, YouTube, SEO, Twitter, LinkedIn, and TikTok. In terms of the sheer number of leads coming in, if you don't have enough leads coming in, you need to be doing more of at least one of them. You should start by looking at which one is actually giving some results and then figure out how you can increase doing that one. So if you're getting results with cold outbound DMs, like the first thing to look at is, well, how can you do more cold outbound DMs? The next thing you should be doing is looking at what's working for your competitors in your niche and then replicate what they're doing. And ways you can do that are looking at what ads they're running, looking at what content is performing well for them. And sometimes they actually say how they get in clients. So you want to be looking at that as well. In the long run, content's typically the best way to get clients. In the long run, it's ideal to be getting clients using content because content makes them warmer to you. And also you don't have to directly pay for content. For content, you need to consider what platforms your target audience are on, and then you need to be making content on there. And specifically, you should be looking at what's working for your competitors on those platforms and then replicate their effective strategies. Also, in particular for content, something people miss out on a lot are the warm DMs. So whenever you get people following you on your Instagram page or your LinkedIn, you should be sending them DMs saying something like, hello, what are your goals in niche, or what are you struggling in your niche? And then you go back and forth from there, and then you give them the chance to call you. And that's a very good way to be getting more, and that's a very good way to be getting more high quality inbound calls. Okay, so the next thing is, if you are getting leads, but the lead quality is bad or there aren't any conversions, then you need to be thinking about how you're getting the leads and how you're trying to warm them up to your offer. If the leads cannot actually afford your offer, it's likely to be the case that your content is targeting the wrong people. And a very common reason for that is calling out the wrong people in your calls to action, or you're calling out everyone in the calls to action. You really want to specifically be appealing to the people who actually can afford to pay you. When doing this with content, usually the problem is that you're trying to chase virality. But the thing is with content is getting high views doesn't mean that you're going to be getting a lot of inbound leads who can actually afford your offer. Most people won't be able to afford your offer, but going viral means that you're appealing to most people. And so going viral isn't necessarily a good idea. Often you're going to do better by being much more targeted with your content, where you're speaking directly to your target buyer. If the leads aren't actually interested in your offer, again, it could be bad calls to action, but it's also likely that you're not warming them up enough with your content. A lot of your leads won't go straight to the landing page and then book a call with you straight away. A lot of them need to be watching your content for 7 hours before they're going to be willing to buy from you. So if you're not giving them an opportunity to consume your content, then that can be a problem. It could also be the case that you've got the wrong offer. You don't have enough case studies, so you need to find a way to limit their risk somehow. Or you don't have enough case studies, so you need to find a way to limit their risk somehow. It could also be the case that you're not qualifying properly before they're getting on the calls. If someone literally can't afford your offer, first of all, they're very unlikely to actually buy it. And second, even if they do buy it, you're going to have problems with the fulfillment because they're going to be a pain to fulfill, because they're going to constantly be down your throat, and because they're going to churn straight away anyway. So it's better to qualify people before they get on the call and focus on just taking calls from the people who actually can afford your offer. If the leads can afford your offer, but you're still not getting conversions, it might be the case that your offer isn't a good one, and you need to look at, well, is this actually a good offer? If you don't have successful competitors successfully running that offer, you should probably assume that it's a bad offer. But it might also be the case that there's a problem with how you're doing the sales calls, in which case you need to look at how you're doing the sales calls. The next major thing you need to look at is the fulfillment. If you're struggling to actually do the fulfillment, then you have a fulfillment problem. The first thing to look at is the offer actually easy to fulfill? If it's a hard offer to fulfill, then you need to consider how you can modify the offer so that it becomes easier to fulfill. The first thing there to look at is, are you serving too many niches? It's usually easier to fulfill from one niche by doing more stuff in that niche, such as Facebook ads and Instagram management and Google ads, right, than it is to be doing Facebook ads for every niche. Because when you're doing it for one niche, what works for one company also will work for the next company. So that makes the fulfillment significantly easier. The next thing to look at is the standard operating procedures. If you haven't documented it well, then you can't expect the employees or the VAs to be doing it properly. If it is an easy service to fulfill, then you need to look at how well you've documented your services. The next thing is your hiring processes. If you're not hiring the right people, then obviously it's going to be a problem. If you're not hiring the right people, then obviously it's going to be a problem. Lastly, there's churn. If there's a high churn, then you're constantly going to have to be bringing in new people. So you want the churn to be as low as possible. So the first thing to look at is, are you actually getting results for people? If you're not actually getting the results, then that's the first thing that you need to fix. As I just said, if you're not getting results, you probably want to be focusing more on one niche and serving one niche a lot more. Otherwise, you need to be employing better and having better standard operating procedures, or you need to productize the service better. You should also look at who you're actually getting good results for and focus on getting more people like that. So then you need to look at how you're doing the marketing and try to adjust the marketing so that you appeal to more people like that.